For many of us, having a challenging conversation is something that we get all too familiar with in our business. Maybe it's a challenging situation with a team member not performing. Maybe it's a couple of team members that might not be getting along. Maybe it's a challenge with a disgruntled client. There are so many things that involve us as business owners each and every day in our businesses, and they're challenging conversations. We need to get them right, because the damage that actually can be done to your business and reputation, team and integrity and clients is very, very real and scary if we get it wrong. Let's get diving in right now and make sure we get through the 6 things that you must do in every challenging conversation. So let's be completely clear and honest here. We need to be really good at management. We need to understand that crucial conversations, those challenging conversations, are going to happen more and more as our business grows. The more team members we have on board, the more chance there is for someone to have a slight challenge with things. Maybe 2 team members want to butt heads, maybe disagree. It's not about having a bad business or having a weed that continues to grow. It's about fundamentally understanding that the bigger your business becomes, the more team members that are on board, the more sort of HR and challenging conversations you're going to have as the business owner. And understanding that, embracing that, and using that to your advantage is going to separate the good managers from the great managers, and ultimately separate the good companies and teams from the great companies that go out and change the world around them. So that's the first thing that we need to understand. Let's dive into the 6 things right now that you absolutely must do. They're non-negotiables. First of all, I'm going to always set a time frame. I'm going to set a time frame for this podcast. All of my podcasts are around 8, maybe sometimes 10 minutes. So I'm always going to set a time frame for myself to make sure that I get out all the gold nuggets inside that 10-minute time period. It's fundamentally setting parameters around what can be done and said. Otherwise, this goes on for way too long. And I think that's the first thing you need to do in every one of these challenging or crucial conversations with your team and in your business. You need to set a time frame. So if you're going into a conversation in that scenario, you don't need to be setting an hour for this, let alone half an hour. If you think that you need to set half an hour, I would say make it 15 minutes. Always set it for little time, less time, in fact, than what you think, because very rarely should you even need that time. And rarely, I'm talking rarely, because the vast majority of time when people say, oh, I needed more time than the half an hour, when we actually scratch that itch, we actually find out, no, they didn't. It's actually that there was way too much fluff for 10 to 15 minutes and it should have been done more concisely. One of the best books ever written around management is The 1 Minute Manager by Kenneth Blanchard and Spencer Johnson, back late 80s, early 90s. And seriously, it's all about 1 minute reprimands, 1 minute praises, etc. You can do any challenging or crucial conversation in a matter of a handful of minutes. So even if it's 2 team members butting heads over something, you can easily do this in a 15-minute time frame. But make sure that people know about that time frame. Make sure that you start that conversation with exactly this. You're looking at your watch or you look at the clock and you actually let them know, look, we've got 14 minutes, but we all have important things to do. Is it okay if we knuckle in right now, get all this done and taken care of in the next 14 minutes? Everyone then says yes. And what you've done is you've laid out plans as to how this is going to run, how it's going to move forward, and you've asked for their permission. So they're very, very powerful foundational aspects to set this conversation up from the very start so people know what's going to happen, how it's going to happen, people are engaged, and you can move forward. The second thing is we need to make sure that we actually tell your own story. Now, I'm not talking about when I was a little boy, we used to walk home from school in the winter and it was, chop 15 ton of firewood with a blunt razor blade. That's not it. Nor is it about being verbose or verbal diarrhea. It's about actually just paraphrasing the situation that you are in. Pertinent to this is we're not laying blame or making any excuses, and we're not going into the whole timeline of who said this, then that. What we need to do is just take a little bit of a quick synopsis of the story of where we're at. So for me, I'm now walking into this challenging situation with both two fantastic team members. We've had a challenge with yourselves and also a client, if I'm to use that as an example. You know, I'm not here to find out a witch hunt or to find out and point fingers and lay blame and to sack people and all that silliness. But where we do find ourselves is now basically wasting time putting, new systems into place because people weren't going to follow through, with what needed to be said or done. It now means that I need to, and this is the part where we're telling, I tell my story. This now means that I now get dragged into it. We need to now go ahead and talk to the client. We need to do this and do that, etc. So I haven't laid blame, nor have I pointed the finger, nor have I been critical. I've just made everyone aware that when we talk quite generally around the topic, we're now set in this environment. Certain things have been said. Someone hasn't been happy. A client has complained, and here's what we now need to do as a result. So it just pre-frames a conversation. It keeps it a little bit high level, quite general, but it sets the tone so that people understand that this has a major bearing on other people and not just themselves. Number 3 of the must-dos is you must create a safety net at the start of this conversation, okay? As a business leader and a business owner, when you talk about leadership, we're meant to be creating circles of safeties. And your number one job with your team members is to create that circle of safety. So when we get into these challenging, crucial conversations, we must make sure that we lay down a safety net. And that safety net is very much and very simply put that you make people realize that you're not there on a witch hunt. It is not my job to try and, sanction someone, to discipline someone, to, take action and, find out the culprit, right? My job is to find out, is there more things that we need to do or improve on? How can we work through this and get a good solution for everyone moving forward? And I need to make sure that everyone understands that what's going to be said will be staying here with us. We need to make sure that we're in agreement, that everyone can be open and honest and not, be negative or critical of others. Is that okay? So we want to make sure that we lay down that foundation so that people know they're going to be heard, that people have that safety net, that what's been said here today is going to stay here. I've outlined that my role is not to be angry. My role is not to try and find the culprit or lay blame on someone. My job is to make sure that everyone can be, felt like they're heard. Everyone can put forward problems or challenges. We can put forward solutions and we can work together in a happy and efficient and effective way to make sure that our team can step forward. We can create a solution to the problem that's at hand, and we can make good with being great, not just a good team, have more impact, help people out, etc. And it's something that normally will only take 30 to 45 seconds, and it's something that is super powerful and must be in place. Further, finish that little part off with asking the question, is that okay? All right? Do you understand? Are you okay, or are you in agreement with that? All right? Does that feel right to you? And is that okay if we play the game today in that way? They're the types of questions that you need to be asking, because it is asking for their permission to follow those rules, to follow that structure. All right? People desperately want to feel like they're in control. They want to feel like they have a choice. And by asking those questions, you won't get pushback. You won't get someone saying no. What you will get is people accepting that, which gives you more control, but it also gives people's brains the avenue to understand how important this is for them to be able to play the game in the right way and be able to move forward for the betterment of everyone involved. And that, as number 3, becomes super powerful in making sure crucial conversations are completed in the right way. So number 4 in the 6 must-dos for crucial conversations is you must share the facts. This is not all about elaborate stories. This is not about assumptions. This is not about do's and don'ts, rights and wrongs. It is about fact. So we have to make sure that our language replicates that. This is what happened. Not, this sort of happened and then maybe someone said this, or I don't know, then it was someone else said. No, you're not talking in innuendos, cliches. You're not talking around and beating around the bush. You deal very clearly with the facts at hand. Okay, and you share the facts with the people involved. So the great news is that everyone is very clear about things. Again, you're not laying blame, you're not speculating, you're not assuming, because vast majority of time, things like Chinese whispers gets involved. The story gets elaborated, things get changed, people's recollection will completely change. There'll be more disagreements, and all you're going to do is heat up the situation and create more fire of negativity for the people that are involved. So just share the facts and the facts only. Short, sharp, and concise. Because here's the thing, if you don't, or you extend a little bit further of the truth, you'll always have someone coming back and challenging what you've said, and then that destroys any chance of being able to move forward in this process. Number 5 is we need to make sure that we are always present. Not just present in the room, but we're actually present and listening. Let's make sure that we're not taking phone calls, we're not having notifications from Facebook popping up nearby, no one's on their phones, right? We have to make sure that if 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 people, whoever's involved, that everyone is listening, everyone is engaged, everyone is able to actually carry on that conversation. If Mary's talking, I should be able to actually communicate with Mary during that conversation so that I can say something like, Mary, I understand how that would have made you feel at the time. You know, you should be able to interject in while someone else is talking and expressing their concerns or something that happened. Comments like, I think I would be quite frustrated if that occurred as well. And what you're doing is you're showing that people are being heard. You're not just present in the room, but you're present in the conversation. You're not sitting there getting a text message and looking off to the side and then looking back and then trying to re-engage in the conversation, because it tells from your body language that you're not actually invested into the process. You're present in the room, but you're not present with them and as attentive as you should be. So you have to make sure you are 100% present, not just being present in the room. And the last one, number 6, is we must make sure that we are always, always, always finishing up that crucial conversation with a to-do list or a to-action list. And the reason for that is everyone needs to have clarity of direction. Everyone needs to better understand what's going to occur. There needs to be complete transparency and understanding in place. We need to make sure that you even ask that question. You know, that from my understanding of what's been said today, here's what's going to happen as a result. Step 1, step 2, step 3. Am I hearing what everyone else hears? Right? You have to ask those questions. It might seem funny by saying, is everyone agreeing that this is the 3 steps we're going to work with from here? Because people are in a situation where they need to have the right context of importance. They need to understand it's not just a talk fest. It's been short and sharp. We've managed firm but fair. We've made these things happen. Everyone's been heard. Everyone has been present. I've felt comfortable to be open and honest because of that safety net. But I also now know here's what's going to happen as a result. Maybe we need to improve our communication. Maybe there's 2 or 3 things we need to do to modify or improve the system. Maybe I need to talk to a client now. Maybe I need to, whatever it is, it doesn't really matter. It's the fact that we actually have clear action items finishing up from that so that everyone is understanding. Everyone has, if they're not clear, has time to communicate that or request for clarity, and everyone is then accountable for delivering on that. It's also showing that you as a manager can act proactively. All right. Most management is seen to be reactive. Something's not done, manager has to come and fix it. You know, there's a fire, manager has to come and pull it out. There's a problem with HR, get the management head to come in and do it. But by doing this, it's actually the manager now being proactive. It's a manager now showing great leadership principles of how to better move forward in this process and how they can actually manage proactively, not just reactively. And that becomes super powerful during challenging and crucial conversations. So guys, that's a really quick snapshot, a little bit over my 8 or 10 minutes. Apologies from that, full ownership on myself for that, but I felt it was valuable to give you that extra information through that process. The 6 must-dos you must have to make sure that all crucial and challenging conversations work in your favor in the best way and the best result is achieved at all times. I'll talk to you again very soon. Hey guys, thank you very much for listening to another episode of the Profitable Practice Podcast. I would love nothing more than for you to be able to leave a review. I get so much joy out of listening and reading the amazing things that you guys say about this. So please subscribe to our channel, leave a review, and share it with your friends. Let's get some more fantastic information out there so all of us can grow the industry together. Cheers for now.